In 15 years, it's hard to comprehend that happening. You know, to all the countries all over the world via satellite. It's very difficult to comprehend.
Graceland, the legendary home of Elvis Presley, has always been a place where the past and present intertwine. Fans from around the globe visit to pay their respects and to feel closer to the king of rock and roll. But what if I told you that beneath this iconic mansion lies a secret so profound it could rewrite the story of a legend? For nearly 5 decades since Elvis's passing in 1977, the basement of Graceland remained sealed, its door locked and its contents a mystery. While the mansion's opulent rooms, like the Jungle Room with its green shag carpets, welcomed millions, this one area was strictly off limits. Rumors swirled among fans and insiders, whispering of hidden treasures or untold stories, but no one knew for certain what lay below. In early 2025, that mystery began to unravel. Amid ongoing renovations at Graceland, including the debut of the Elvis Dress to Rock exhibit, showcasing 15 of Elvis's iconic jumpsuits, a decision was made to unlock the basement. It wasn't a casual choice. The move sparked hushed conversations and raised questions. Why now, and what had been hidden for so long? A hand-picked team of specialists was assembled for this historic task. Historians, archivists, and security experts, all bound by ironclad confidentiality agreements, were tasked with exploring the basement and preserving whatever they found. Their mission was clear, but the weight of it was palpable. They were about to step into a part of Elvis's world that had been untouched for 48 years. As they descended the narrow staircase concealed behind a false wall, the air grew heavy with anticipation. Dust clung to their clothes, and the dim glow of their flashlights revealed peeling wallpaper and cobwebs, remnants of a time-long past. Each step echoed through the silence, as if Graceland itself was holding its breath, aware that its deepest secret was about to be exposed. At the bottom, they entered a room frozen in time, the legendary TV room. This was Elvis's sanctuary, a space where he could unwind and stay connected to the world. 3 vintage television sets stood side by side, a setup inspired by President Lyndon Johnson, who watched multiple news channels simultaneously. Elvis, ever the innovator, had adopted the same habit, filling this room with the hum of information and entertainment. The room was a vivid snapshot of 1970s opulence. A mirrored ceiling reflected their cautious movements, while a plush, low-slung couch invited them to sit, though they dared not disturb the scene. A white china monkey statue, a quirky hallmark of Elvis's eclectic taste, sat prominently on a shelf. On a nearby table, a pair of his signature sunglasses lay, as if he had just set them down before stepping out. It was a moment so perfectly preserved it felt like the king might walk in at any moment. But something else caught their eye. A door at the far end of the room, slightly ajar. No lock held it shut. It seemed to beckon them forward, as if it had been waiting for this day. As they approached, a faint sound drifted from within, a soft rustling like the turning of pages or the shifting of fabric. Their pulses quickened. Was it the house settling, or was something else at play? Stepping through the doorway, they found themselves in a space that defied expectation. The room was a treasure trove of artifacts, hidden from the world for decades. Boxes of unreleased recordings, potentially containing music never heard by the public, were stacked against one wall. Scattered across a dusty desk were handwritten notes in Elvis's distinctive scrawl, hinting at unfinished songs, personal reflections, and dreams that never came to light. Photographs capturing candid moments from his life lay in piles, offering glimpses into the man behind the myth. But the most startling discovery was yet to come. As the team sifted through the artifacts, a noise broke the silence. A cough, a breath. They turned, their flashlights cutting through the dimness, to see a shadow move in the corner. Someone was there watching them. The realization hit like a thunderbolt. They were not the first to enter this space in decades. Who was this mysterious figure, and how had they come to be in the basement of Graceland, sealed away from the world? The answer to that question promised to unravel a story that could shake the very foundations of Elvis's legacy. But for now, the team stood frozen, their minds racing with possibilities, knowing they had stumbled upon something far greater than they could have imagined. As the team descended into the basement's TV room, they felt the air grow heavy with echoes of the past. The space was a vivid snapshot of Elvis Presley's world, locked in a stillness that had endured for nearly 50 years. The walls blazed with bold black and yellow, their hues defiant against the passage of time. Overhead mirrored ceilings splintered the faint light, scattering it across the shag carpet that swallowed their footsteps. A lightning bolt slashed across the far wall, electric and alive, whispering Elvis's creed. Taking care of business in a flash. This wasn't just a room, it was a portal to the man himself, his essence captured in every detail. Faded magazines sat in neat piles on a side table, their edges curling with age. Empty soda bottles stood beside an ashtray, a whiff of stale tobacco lingering in the air. A pair of loafers waited by the couch, angled toward the television as if their owner might return any moment. Nothing here felt arranged or artificial. It was raw, real. A moment of Elvis's life paused mid-breath. The team moved carefully, almost reverently, through the stillness. But then a sound pierced the quiet, a slow, rhythmic creaking from beyond the wall. Not the tired sigh of an old house, but something deliberate, like footsteps pacing in the distance, drawing them toward the pool room. Stepping into that next space was like crossing into a dream. The pool room was a world apart, a dazzling retreat that seemed to defy reality. Pleated fabric cloaked every surface, ceiling and walls alive with swirling blues, golds, and burnt oranges, a kaleidoscope born in 1974. It was Elvis's hideaway, a cocoon where he could sink a shot, share a laugh, or simply vanish from the spotlight. The air felt charged, as if the room had been waiting for them. The pool table stood untouched, balls racked in perfect order, the felt smooth and unmarred. Restored lights flickered on, bathing the textured walls in a warm amber glow. Leather chairs gleamed, and unopened cigarette packs rested like offerings on a nearby table. It was pristine, almost too perfect, as if time had been locked out. Then came the realization that stopped them cold. The silence. Not just a lack of noise, but a deep, pressing void that seemed to tighten around their lungs. It was the kind of hush that belongs to forgotten places, where life has long since faded. Yet there was no dust, no sign of neglect. The basement's security system, wired with sensors and checked regularly, hadn't stirred. No alarms, no warnings. The contradiction gnawed at them. Had this room truly sat empty for decades, or was there something more? Some presence lingering just out of sight, guarding its secrets? The answer came not with a chill or a whisper, but with a flicker of movement. As they scanned the walls, testing for cracks or flaws, one of the crew caught it. A swift, silent shift in the shadows. It wasn't their imagination playing tricks. Behind a drooping curtain and a twisted piece of molding, they found it. A passage. Narrow and cramped, it stretched into darkness, a hidden vein running through Graceland's heart. No map, no blueprint, no record acknowledged its existence. Not in the tourist guides, not in the estate's plans, not even in the memories of staff who'd tended the mansion for years. The discovery hit them like a wave. In a place so thoroughly known, how had this stayed buried? Their flashlights carved through the gloom as they ventured inside, the beam trembling slightly in their hands. A faint rustle drifted from the shadows, soft, like a sleeve brushing against a wall. The temperature dropped and their pulses quickened. What lay ahead? The passage opened into a small, bare chamber, stark against the opulence they'd left behind. A lone chair faced a wall plastered with photographs, snapshots of Elvis through the years, unguarded and human. Not the glossy icons of fame, but the man behind them, smiling with friends, staring into the distance, resting in quiet moments. Pages littered the floor, scribbled with his handwriting, lyrics, thoughts, fragments of songs. One note, dated mere weeks before he left this world, read, "The stage calls me home, but the shadows follow." It was a window into his soul, tender and aching. Beneath the chair, they found a worn metal box, its surface etched with a promise. For those who seek the truth. Their fingers fumbled with the rusted lock, anticipation thick in the air. Then a sound, a single, careful step from the passage behind them. They spun around, lights slashing through the dark, but saw nothing. The box creaked open, revealing a trove of audio tapes, each marked with dates and places. Memphis, Vegas, 1976, 1977. Unheard music, perhaps, locked away until now. One tape bore a different label. The Last Song. The weight of it sank into them. Could this hold his final words, his closing melody? The passage twisted deeper into Graceland's underbelly, where shadows clung to the walls and time seemed to pause. At its end, the team found a sealed chamber, its door cloaked in decades of dust, as if guarding a secret meant to stay buried. With trembling hands, they eased it open, revealing rows of crates, their faded labels bearing codes from the late 1970s. Inside were fragments of Elvis Presley's soul. Well-worn books, neatly folded clothes, notes scrawled on napkins, and reels of 8mm home movies, capturing moments of a life lived in the spotlight, yet yearning for quiet. Tucked among these treasures were reel-to-reel tapes, each marked with Elvis's handwriting, some dated mere weeks before his passing in August 1977. The discovery sent a jolt through the team. This wasn't just memorabilia, it was a window into the king's heart. Security tightened, historians rushed in, and the chamber became a fortress of secrecy. The world beyond these walls remained unaware, but inside the air buzzed with the weight of what they'd found. Could these artifacts rewrite the story of a legend? One tape, played in hushed reverence, revealed not a song or a rehearsal, but a voice. Raw, unguarded, speaking into the darkness. A crew member, sworn to anonymity, later shared that it felt like Elvis was reaching out, leaving a message for a future he'd never see. The words were tender, heavy with reflection, sparking a question that hung unspoken. Was the king trying to tell us something, hidden beneath his own home? In the days that followed, archivists unraveled the basement's role in Elvis's life. Records showed he sought refuge there in his final years, not just to unwind, but to escape the relentless gaze of fame. This wasn't a mere lounge, it was his sanctuary, a place where the man behind the myth could breathe. Vinyl records, personal notes, and vintage audio gear were arranged with care, as if Elvis himself had preserved them for this moment. Among the most poignant finds were locked cases holding handwritten journals, unopened letters, and those enigmatic tapes. Experts believe these were never meant for the public. Private thoughts, perhaps confessions, that Elvis guarded fiercely. His well-documented distrust of the press and even some close allies suggested this space was his vault, where he could be wholly himself. What secrets did he entrust to these walls, and why now were they coming to light? Whispers of the discovery soon escaped, spreading first among collectors and insiders before igniting a global firestorm. Graceland's officials, caught off balance, released a measured statement, acknowledging the reopening of a sealed basement section as part of routine preservation work. They mentioned vintage electronics, retro decor, and personal items hinting at future exhibits. Yet, on the journals, letters, and tapes, they remained silent, fueling speculation that raced unchecked across the internet. Without official answers, theories multiplied. Were the tapes filled with confessions, final songs, or messages meant for a distant future? Did Elvis, in his last days, craft a legacy to be unveiled when the world was ready? Leaked fragments only deepened the mystery, while the estate kept the full truth under lock and key. What was Graceland hiding, and who decided what the world could know? The discovery rekindled a global fascination with Elvis's legacy. Fans flocked to Graceland, not just to reminisce, but to seek answers. Historians pored over archives, and skeptics debated the findings' authenticity. What else lay hidden in the mansion's depths? Was this intentional? A time capsule left by Elvis, or simply forgotten relics of a life cut short? The question of what the public would be allowed to see loomed large, binding them all in shared anticipation. As cataloging began, the basement was resealed, accessible only to a select few. The process was meticulous, each artifact handled with reverence, as if touching the essence of the king himself. The world held its breath, knowing that each new revelation could shift the narrative of a man who'd shaped music history. Would these discoveries bring us closer to Elvis, or deepen the enigma? Reflecting on this moment, it's impossible to separate the man from the myth. Elvis Presley was more than a singer. He was a cultural force, his life a tapestry of triumph and complexity. His financial and luxury lifestyle mirrored his larger-than-life persona. At his death, his estate was valued at $5 million, a modest sum given his earnings, drained by lavish spending on Cadillacs, Mercedes-Benzes, and a custom golf cart. His private jet, the Lisa Marie, symbolized his love for family and freedom. Graceland, bought for $100,000 in 1957, now draws over 500,000 visitors yearly, alongside properties in Palm Springs and Mississippi. His music, films, and pioneering merchandise empire, from lunchboxes to bedsheets, set branding benchmarks. Collaborations with artists like the Jordanaires shaped rock and roll. Likely insured for health and assets, Elvis's estate, now worth $500 million under Priscilla and Lisa Marie's stewardship, teaches the power of legacy planning. From Tupelo's poverty to global stardom, his journey reminds us that even icons face financial pitfalls, yet their influence endures. As Graceland's secrets surface, Elvis's story feels alive, unfinished. These artifacts, tapes, letters, memories, offer a glimpse into a man who loved deeply, struggled quietly, and left a legacy that still sings. What truths will emerge next, and how will they reshape our view of the king? One thing is certain: his voice, once confined to a basement, now echoes across time, daring us to listen. Well, here we are, standing at the edge of something extraordinary. We've just taken a trip down into the hidden corners of Graceland, where dusty boxes and forgotten tapes have spilled secrets about Elvis Presley we never thought we'd hear. These aren't just random trinkets or old recordings. They're windows into the soul of a man who became a myth. A guitar scratched with late-night ideas, letters scribbled with dreams he never shared, a voice on tape that's softer, more vulnerable than the one that shook the world. It's a reminder that even the king had his quiet moments, his doubts, his hidden chapters. And isn't that wild? That decades after he left us, Elvis is still finding ways to surprise us, to pull us closer, to make us feel like we're meeting him all over again. His legacy isn't some dusty museum piece. It's alive, shifting, whispering new stories if we're brave enough to listen. So, what do you make of all this? Imagine you're holding one of those tapes. What do you think Elvis wanted to say? How does this change the way you see him, knowing there was so much more beneath the sequins and spotlight? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to hear what you think. And hey, if this journey's got you hooked, give that like button a tap and hit subscribe. It's the easiest way to keep peeling back the layers with us. No pressure, just an invite to stick around for the ride. Speaking of what's next, this is only the start. There's more out there, more shadows to explore, more legends with stories begging to be told. Maybe we'll dig deeper into Elvis's world, or maybe we'll uncover someone else's basement treasures. Whatever it is, it's coming your way soon, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. The past has a funny way of keeping us guessing, and we're just getting warmed up. Elvis once sang about a little less conversation, but I think he'd forgive us for talking about him just a bit longer. Because here's the thing, the king may have left the stage, but his echo lingers, bold, beautiful, and begging us to keep listening.